Some gifts are not meant to be opened. Some secrets are not meant to be kept. And some truths, once buried, refuse to stay silent, clawing their way back to the surface with a quiet, relentless force that reshapes history itself. December 1873. The air hung heavy and damp over the Mississippi River Delta, a shroud of mist clinging to the ancient cypress trees and winding bayous. In the wealthy plantation districts, where the scars of war were still fresh, but the illusion of grandeur persisted, a transaction took place. It was a transaction whispered about in hushed tones, a dark echo of a past that many claimed was dead, yet still clung to the land like Spanish moss. Two girls, twins barely 14 years old, their names and histories meticulously erased, were purchased at a private auction. They were not destined for labor in the fields, nor for domestic service in the grand house. No, their fate was far more sinister, wrapped in red velvet and presented as Christmas morning gifts for the Baron's two dissolute sons. What happened next was not a tale of supernatural intervention, nor a grand rebellion. It was a story woven from quiet observation, desperate courage, and an almost unbelievable act of defiance. What these two girls did in the spring of 1874 would not only unravel three families, but it would also expose a conspiracy of silence so deeply entrenched that it had become the very bedrock of the community. It would force an entire county to burn its records, relocate its courthouse, and collectively pretend a whole winter never happened. The Baron who bought them was never seen again. His legacy dissolving into rumor and speculation. His sons were found, yes, but what had been done to them, not physically, but to their very essence, was something no one could explain, something that defied the crude justice of the era. And the twins, they vanished. Not into air, but into a network so vast, so meticulously hidden that even today, historians refuse to discuss it on record, fearing the implications of its true reach. Before we delve deeper into the chilling account of the Baron and the twin girls who irrevocably altered the course of St. Helena Parish, I urge you to consider the weight of forgotten histories. If you are drawn to the darkest corners of American history, the stories they deliberately omit from textbooks, the events they desperately try to erase, then I ask you to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell and tell me in the comments below what state are you listening from. Because this story, though rooted in the Louisiana Delta, touches more places, more lives than you might ever imagine. Now let us journey back to a time when the law was a malleable suggestion. When power was measured not just in acres of land but in the lives that toiled upon it. And when two children, innocent and unknowing, were gift-wrapped like dolls, destined for a fate that would either break them or forge them into something unbreakable, the journey from the docks to the Devoe estate lasted nearly an hour. Inside the jolting wagon, the twins, Cora and Clara, sat in a silence so profound that the driver, Cato, felt they had ceased to breathe. When they arrived, the Baron, Lucien Devoe, presented them to his sons, Henri and Julien, as Christmas gifts. Julien, the volatile and cruel younger son, inspected them like livestock. Henri, the cold calculator, expressed concern about the post-war laws, but the Baron dismissed him with a sneer, "The law is whatever I say it is." The twins were locked in a freezing room in the East Wing, fed sparingly, and treated as mere property. For 3 months, they endured unspeakable cruelty. Yet, their silence was not submission, it was a shield. Unknown to the Baron, the twins' mother had taught them to read and write, a dangerous skill for those in their position. During their captivity, they discovered a forgotten library in the East Wing. By candlelight, they devoured books on law and contracts, realizing that in the chaotic Reconstruction era, the letter of the law held power if properly invoked. In early March, when Henri took them to the Greensburg courthouse to officially, and illegally, register them as property, Cora seized a moment of distraction. She slipped into the records room and stole a blank sheet of official paper, seed of hope that would become their weapon. On March 19, 1874, the twins escaped through a window that had been nailed shut but somehow yielded to their desperation. They fled to the cabin of Iris, a resilient widow in the quarters. There, the twins spoke their first words in months, pleading for help. They used the stolen paper to draft their own document of manumission, claiming their freedom. Iris, knowing the Baron's retribution would be lethal, took the ultimate risk and signed the document as a witness. This single act of courage set the stage for a confrontation that would shatter the Devo dynasty. The next morning, the twins appeared at the courthouse. When the Baron and his sons arrived to reclaim their property, they were met with a legal document they couldn't explain away. Sheriff Tate, a man tired of the Baron's lawlessness, held the document. In a fit of blinding rage, Lucien Devo attempted to seize the ledger and assault the court clerk, Thomas Whitley. When a respected lawyer, Marcus Hale, intervened, the Baron drew a pistol. This was his fatal mistake. Sheriff Tate entered, drew his own weapon, and arrested the invincible Baron in front of the entire town. The illusion of his power was shattered. The legal battle lasted through the sweltering summer of 1874. Despite the Baron's expensive lawyers, Cora and Clara testified with unwavering dignity, recounting their journey from Virginia to the slave markets of New Orleans. Their truth, combined with Iris's testimony and Marcus Hale's pro bono defense, was undeniable. In August 1874, Judge Horace Bellamy delivered a landmark verdict: Cora and Clara were free citizens. The Baron was fined and sentenced to jail. However, Lucien Devo never served his time. On the night of August 15, he vanished forever, leaving behind a crumbling empire and two feckless sons. The Devo estate soon collapsed. Henri died in a Texas bar fight, and Julian succumbed to alcoholism in a New Orleans boarding house. The Baron's place fell into ruin, a skeletal reminder of a dead era. Cora, Clara, Iris, and her children moved north to Pennsylvania. There, the twins opened a school for freed children, teaching the literacy that had saved their lives. On their wall hung the framed, freedom document, the stolen blank page that they had filled with their own destiny. Beneath it, Cora wrote, "Some gifts are not meant to be kept." They lived long, meaningful lives, leaving behind a story of how two silent girls used the power of words to bring down a tyrant.